All right, welcome back. Today, we're jumping into something really cool in the world of AI trading. It's called Agent F. And it's all built on this one simple, but honestly, pretty powerful idea. For an AI to actually be useful to a trader, it has to see way more than just a price chart. So let's get into what that really means.
But before we get into the solution, let's talk about the problem. And I'm going to start with a question that I bet a lot of you have asked yourselves, probably after trying some new hyped up tool. Why do most of these AI trading tools just fail, right? You get all excited, you plug it in, and the advice you get is just so vague, so generic, and it just doesn't work in the real world. And here's exactly why. They've all got this massive blind spot. I mean, think about it. They have super limited data access, they have zero awareness of your personal risk, and they're totally blind to the time of day. They're deaf to any market-moving news, and they're completely unaware of the critical price levels on the chart. They're basically trying to give you advice without any real context at all. And that right there leads us to the core of the whole AI trading problem. Because it's missing all that context, the advice it spits out is, at best, totally unhelpful, and at worst, it's genuinely dangerous for your trading account. It's kind of like asking a GPS for directions, but not telling it where you are, where you want to go, or even what kind of car you're driving. You're just not going to get a useful answer. Okay, so how do you actually solve this mess? Well, the system we're looking at today, Agent F, it proposes a completely different foundation. It's all about moving beyond that shallow, surface-level analysis by building its intelligence from the ground up in, well, layers. And this is the magic number right here, 14. Not one, not two, but 14 distinct layers of intelligence. We're talking about things like news sentiment, session timing, key price levels, and even your own personal strategy rules, all working together. But what's really fascinating is how these layers combine to create a full picture of the market, and that's exactly what we're about to unpack. So this whole system is really built on this one core idea: comprehensive context. The whole goal is to make the AI thing less like a simple, dumb indicator and more like a seasoned professional trader. How? By feeding it everything a pro would consider: your strategy, your risk parameters, and all the relevant real-time data, before it even thinks about giving you a recommendation. Now, these 14 layers, they aren't just some random checklist. They actually build on each other in a really logical way. First, it defines your context, your personal rules, your strategy. Then it goes out and analyzes the broader market, the news, the levels, the technicals, and finally, it starts to reveal the hidden market structure. You know, the stuff that the big institutional traders are really watching. It's a process that's designed to mirror a professional's workflow. Okay, so theory is great and all, but what does this actually look like in the real world? How does this layered approach make a tangible difference? Let's do a direct before and after comparison to really see it in action. And boom! This slide just says it all, doesn't it? On the left, you got your typical generic AI. MGC looks bullish. Consider buying. Super vague, right? But now look at the right. Agent F gives you a precise, actionable plan, an exact entry, a specific stop loss, and clear targets. It even calculates your risk down to the dollar based on your account size, and, this is huge, it warns you about the big FOMC meeting that's just 2 hours away. See the difference? One is basically a guess. The other is a professional plan. And this is such a critical point to understand. The goal here is not to replace you. It's not about replacing your unique strategy. It's about taking your edge, the system that you've built that works for you, and just amplifying it with a massive amount of data and context. It makes sure every single decision is perfectly aligned with how you trade. All right, let's talk about what they call the compound effect. Because the real magic here isn't in any single layer on its own. It's all about how they interact with each other. It's that synergy that creates an intelligence that's just so much more powerful than the sum of its parts. Let's walk through a quick scenario so you can see exactly how this works. So imagine you spot a beautiful technical setup. Your indicators are all flashing by, and it's happening right at a key historical resistance level. Now, based on those two layers alone, technicals and levels, this thing looks like a picture-perfect trade. But then, a couple of other layers chime in. The news layer and the economic calendar layer suddenly start waving a red flag. They've spotted that a high-impact non-farm payrolls report is scheduled to come out in just a few minutes. All of a sudden, that perfect setup looks incredibly dangerous. And so, what's the result of combining all these layers? A clear, intelligent decision. Stand aside. The system's number one priority becomes protecting your capital because it has the complete context. And just like that, a potentially devastating loss was avoided. Not because of one piece of data, but because of how all the different pieces came together. This really represents a fundamental shift in thinking. It's a new paradigm for how traders can actually use AI. The edge is no longer just about who has the most data, it's about who has the most context surrounding that data. Let's break down how this creates a clear advantage. So the advantage here becomes pretty clear, right? Having that complete context, well, it just leads to better decisions. It forces a risk-first approach, which is absolutely vital for staying in this game long-term. It aligns with your personal strategy, it gives you actionable plans instead of vague ideas, and because it's systematic, it delivers a consistent, high quality of analysis every single time. This table just sums it all up perfectly. On one side, you've got Agent F with its 14 comprehensive context layers. And on the other, you have the generic tools with, maybe one or two basic layers? Agent F has built-in account-aware risk management. The others are generic or have nothing at all. It aligns with your strategy, not some one-size-fits-all model. And it's aware of news in real time, while the others are completely news-deaf. It's really a night and day comparison. And I think this quote from the source material is the absolute perfect way to frame it. Most of the tools out there are just chatbots with a price chart tacked on. This is different. It's designed from the ground up to be a comprehensive trading intelligence system, one that sees the market, thinks about risk, and understands strategy just like a pro trader would. So this really leaves us with a final thought to chew on. As AI continues to get smarter and smarter and data becomes available to absolutely everyone, is the true edge going to shift? Will it be less about who has the most data and more about who can apply the most comprehensive context to that data? It's a really powerful question for the future of trading, that's for sure.